We've always been taught that knowledge is power. Especially for women and minorities, education has always been that shining beacon out of oppression. But what if obtaining that knowledge is actually what takes away your power? Recently, I was approached by a former university professor who claimed that she was sexually harassed, and when she reported it, she was passed up for promotion. In the end, the case couldn't move forward, but it got me thinking, just how prevalent is sexual harassment in academia? I did not have to look far, and I was unpleasantly surprised. National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine recently published a study finding that a whopping 58% of female faculty in academia reported being sexually harassed. In the student population, 20 to 40% of female students reported being sexually harassed by male faculty, depending on the discipline studied. As with sexual harassment across industries, women of color and gender and color minorities experience more sexual harassment than straight, white, cisgender women. Here are a few of the many examples that I've found of the problem. First, the story of the gutless publisher. 3 female PhDs recently wrote a book called Sexual Misconduct in Academia, Informing an Ethics of Care in the University. Unfortunately, their publisher canceled the chapter on one of their personal experiences because the male professor in question, the harasser, threatened to sue the publisher. In response, more than 1,500 people have signed an open letter calling on the publisher to reinstate the chapter. Publisher in question, Routledge, or Routledge, you tell me, has openly admitted that it withdrew the chapter in question because of the professor's legal threats. Critics of the withdrawal and those that have signed the letter point out that bowing to such legal threats only encourages perpetrators to act with impunity. Next up, we have Harvard University, which recently settled a lawsuit considering sexual harassment by one of its anthropology professors concerning claims by 3 separate women. The details of the report are scary. The lawsuit claims that the professor kissed and groped students without their permission and threatened to tank their careers should they resist. Next up, we have the state of California. Sexual misconduct cases have gotten so out of control in the Sunshine State that California universities that Governor Gavin Newsom has signed 2 new laws to address them. The first, Assembly Bill 2608, requires that California state universities train students on what sexual harassment and sexual abuse are. Methinks maybe the faculty and staff could also use those trainings, but I'm not Newsom. The other, Assembly Bill 1790, requires that the universities implement any suggestions when they are audited by the California government. Next, we have the University of California, Irvine. Way to go, California. At the University of California, Irvine, one professor has been reinstated after being suspended for 3 months without pay after a pro found allegations of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct against him to be true. Many are understandably up in arms about it. This is following the removal of the same university of former Professor Francisco Ayala, who was found to have committed sexual misconduct. Next up, we have Liberty University. In March, Liberty University was fined $16 million by the Department of Education for creating an environment where sexual harassment and assault were allowed to thrive. This violated the Clery Act, which requires universities to track crime on their campus and to report their findings to the federal government. The Department of Education's report is extremely damning, which is just a little wink to the religious nature of the school. The report finds that the university failed to keep records of many instances of rape or to warn students of the danger. It also punished victims of sexual assault with rules against having sex, doing drugs, and drinking. What is so interesting to me as a lawyer, and should be alarming to everyone, is that legal compliance and recently passed laws have done almost nothing to curb the prevalence of sexual misconduct in academia. This is because much of it is due to the culture in academic institutions, and legal compliance can't address sexist hostility. So I'll leave it up to you, friends, to let me know what you think can be done about the situation. See you soon.